in order to feel like you have that purpose, that you have love in your life, is you have to give. You have to give. And I'm not talking about charity. I'm not really talking about donations and giving money, although if that's your thing, beautiful. You know, this world does need that. But give your time is probably the most valuable thing you can give away. And I've learned that. And so when I show students, when I show athletes, you know, in the weight room, new exercises, I really try to put that 100% into that one thing that they're trying to learn. And I'm like, man, I know it's frustrating, right? But we're going to get it, because if you don't get it now, everything that comes on top of that, or, you know, next isn't going to be right. So we have to spend the time to get it right.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Big Time Strength Podcast, where real coaches highlight other small school strength coaches. I'm your host this week, Amanda Berg, and we have a guest. When she says that she lights up a room, I wish you could see it. I would like to introduce to you Michelle Toy, who comes from us out of San Jose, California. And she is just an absolute burst of knowledge and energy. And I know you're going to love hearing about her. So let's get to the show. All right. So as strength coach in an all-boys school, oh my gosh, what's that like?
Yeah. Well, I would have, if you told me I was going to be a strength conditioning coach at an all boys school when I was still in college, I probably would have told you you're lying to me. You know, I never really saw that for my future, but then again, I'm loving every second of it, every moment. And so, when I applied for it, you know, I didn't really see it as a school that was an all boys school. I saw it just as an opportunity for one of my first jobs out of college. And so when I got out of college, actually, I applied, or I moved from Hawaii for another topic, but I moved from Hawaii to California, and I had a summer internship at Stanford. And at Stanford, I knew that was going to be coming to an end. And so I blanketed, emailed all the high schools kind of in the area, other colleges in the area, Santa Clara University, things like that. And this is up in the Bay Area, San Jose. And I didn't get any responses. I kid you not. I got nothing. I was devastated. And so with 2 weeks left of my internship, at Stanford, I actually had Santa Clara University reach out to me as an athletic trainer. So I also have an athletic training background and as an athletic trainer. And so I went there later that day for a interview, and I got a part-time job as a athletic trainer. And so, you know, that's what kept me in the area for another year. And but after that, you know, Bellarmine actually had some connections with Santa Clara. Their team doctor had 2 boys that were currently going to the school. And so when they mentioned to me, hey, we just built a new state-of-the-art facility at Bellarmine, we're going to be hiring a full-time strength and conditioning coach. Michelle, you should apply. And I'm like, yeah, sign me up. Let's go. And at that point, I'd only had basically the summer and maybe half of a year of experience working, right? And so mind you, I was working as an athletic trainer at Santa Clara University, but I was also a first-time strength conditioning coach at a really small school in Portola Valley up near Stanford called Woodside Priory. And they really, both of those schools gave me my first opportunity out of college. And so when Bellarmine, you know, put out their application that they were hiring, it said minimum 3 years experience. And already I was like, well, I'm not going to get this because I don't have the minimum requirement. And lo and behold, I got an interview, And so after that interview, there's about a month or so that passed by, and I was like, okay, well, I didn't get the second interview. And so I was already, trying to put my ducks in a row for the following year. Do I still want to keep 2 part-time positions going? And so I decided to reach out to Bellarmine. I was like, hey, I haven't heard back anything. Are you all still in the process of interviewing people? And they said, we really apologize for the delay. Yes, we have been overloaded with applications, which I could understand. This is a prestigious school in this area.
Yep.
And they said, we actually do want to bring you back in. I was like, let's go. And so I was back in for my second interview. I had to do an interview with half of a PE class, so all boys students, all male faculty that were there, football coach, PE, wrestling coach, athletic trainer, the athletic director, we're all there. And I was, this tiny little female, 5'3". Half the kids were taller than me. They were only sophomores. And I remember distinctly this interview, which I think this might have been one of the kickers that may have landed me the job. But I spent majority of that interview just doing the dynamic warm up. Like,
really,
they're saying do a mock a workout with this class so we can see you in action. Out of the I think 45 minutes long that they gave me, I had about a 15 to 20 minute warm up. And I left that interview thinking, I just screwed this up. I didn't even get to the workout. Man, I blew it. And then lo and behold, the athletic trainer that was on that interview process said that was one of the main reasons why I liked you, was because of the fact that you were so thorough in the warm up and that it mattered. And that, I think that's what kind of really made that difference. So, I count my blessings every day as far as being at this school 11 years later, still loving every bit of it and remembering those moments that, you sometimes, it's not about what you think other people want to do or want to see or want to hear. It's truly like what you've been taught, what you've learned, what you've been molded into, and trust your gut and go with that. And, that's still at an all boys school today. I'm still doing exactly that. And, I don't think people doubt that a female can do that job, but the fact that I was the first strength coach at that school and as a female, I think that was powerful. But yeah, so.
Wow. That's a great story to get you in. Well, if you haven't figured it out, we are talking today with Michelle Toy out of Jesuit High School in San Jose.
Yeah, Bellarmine College Preparatory is a Jesuit high school.
Okay, Jesuit High School.
Yeah.
Okay, out of San Jose, California. Wow. And I've been trying to get you on for a long time.
About a year.
Yeah. I had a coach reach out to me, which I did exactly what I asked. I'm always asking male coaches, let's bring these female coaches to the surface, because a lot of times we're not going to do it ourselves. And Andrew Woon, he did it, right? A neighboring school of yours.
Yes, our rivalry school, actually.
Really? Rivalry
St.
school?
Francis.
And he said, you have to get Michelle on. And I'm like, yes, I need to get Michelle on. So I finally got to meet you this year. And you're right. You are just a little spicy
5'3"
little thing. 5'3". And you had your, I think you're wearing one today. You had a sweatshirt on that said Toy Soldier.
Toy Soldier,
loved
yeah.
it. And
yes,
I could tell that you are just an absolute light in your school. I'm like, we got to get you on. So thank you for coming on today with us. And I hope we get to just talk about some great stuff that'll help our other coaches out there. But first, you had talked about, before you started, so you went in with not a ton of experience, but you also had the experience in the college setting. How do you think those internships and then being at Stanford, how did that help with what you're doing today and carry over all these years?
Right. So I had never had, from finishing college, I had never had formal, I guess, training in the strength and conditioning side. I've taken weight training. I've been an athlete, all my life. And I didn't feel like that was enough for me. And so I went to University of Hawaii. I actually grew up on the island of Kauai. So I stayed in state in Hawaii for college. And during grad school, I was an athletic training graduate student at University of Hawaii. And during grad school, there was a clinic being put on that it was strength and conditioning. And Leslie Moser, she was a soccer strength conditioning coach at Stanford at the time, came out to University of Hawaii and did a speed, a demonstration. That was her talk. I absolutely fell in love with it. And so I reached out to her and I asked, hey, I have this athletic training background, but I just kind of gravitated towards your talk. Is there any way I can be an intern at Stanford? And she goes, yeah, let me put you in touch with Jason Kwan. So Jason Kwan is at Cal Baptist University now, down in SoCal, I believe. And he was amazing, but he was the intern coordinator at Stanford. And so he's like, Michelle, we don't really get graduate students in athletic training that have already graduated as our interns. Usually we get people that are still in their summer between their freshman, sophomore, junior year of college. And here you're graduate. Sure, we'll take you. And so that experience at the college level, that was kind of my first experience into strength conditioning. So I didn't know any different from the high school setting versus the college set, the collegiate setting. And for me, that's where I learned the strategies, the programming, the how do you progress, how do you regress, how do you structure the actual day of the workout, starting with foam rolling and tissue, dynamic warm-ups, thermal activation, going into, tissue prep, going into then the actual workout, going into post nutrition, after the workout. And so I learned all that in that 2 to 3 months there at Stanford. And I really feel Brandon Marcello was kind of the head. Oh, he was the head of sports performance there. And at the time when I was there, and just a world of knowledge that I just constantly was just trying to be a sponge and take in. And it's really hard. You don't really know what you don't know. I think some of us have heard that before. And so when you're in these internships, all you want to do is learn. You want to learn what the people around you know, but you have no idea what kind of questions to ask. They say, hey, whatever you want to learn, just ask. Well, again, I don't know what I don't know. So what should I ask? And one of the pieces of advice Brandon gave me one day was, I'll give you 3 pieces of advice. You're going to remember this for the rest of your life. And this is how you get to be where you want to be. So, all right, I'm ready. I'm ready to write down these 3 things. And he goes, read. It's all right. Read. Okay, read and read. And I was like, okay, get it. I get it. Reading is really the top thing. And what he just meant was expand your mind, expand your knowledge, because at that point by reading, it's basically, educating yourself and expanding your, like, what is out there. And then you may now have an idea or a topic you want to then ask me more about. And I thought that was very valuable at the time. And so as far as going from collegiate, bringing that information now to the high school setting, I just don't stop learning. And I think that that's what makes me probably the most valuable coach to these high schoolers, is because what I did 10 years ago is not what I'm doing today. And I think every coach out there will probably tell you the same thing, is that if you are staying stagnant, that can be a problem, because then you kind of burn out. But if you're constantly learning, adapting, trying new things, it keeps the profession really fresh. And that's what I think that's what I learned from the collegiate setting, taking that down to the high school setting. It wasn't all, about Olympic powerlifting and really strategizing and programming. It was more of like the behind the scenes of how do you actually keep yourself as a coach fresh and in the know, right? In the know of what's going on, and constantly trying to use that to better your athletes.
Awesome. Wow. So tell us right now, so you've evolved, but in this day and age, in this setting, what is a typical day training session, or even just philosophy in general? What kind of tech are you using? What does it look like right now for you?
Yeah. So at the high school setting, luckily I'm at a private high school, right? And so we do have some funding that allows us to get has advanced some of our technology in our weight room. And so we have the Team Builder software, which has just actually been new for us since COVID. We realized, I used to be, no, I just want to do Excel spreadsheets. It's easy. I have them. I know how to use Excel really well. I've, kind of a little bit of a self-taught. But once we hit COVID, it was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
How do I demonstrate these things for all these different athletes at different levels with different equipment at home? And that's when we knew that we needed to really kind of dive into something a little bit more on the technological edge. So we got Team Builder, and I am so happy with it. I know that's probably one of the sponsors. I hear that a lot of podcasts, Team Builder is a sponsor. So I believe in you guys. I love y'all. Team Builder to the end. I love it. Just so user friendly as far as typing in the workouts. I love that I get to make my own workouts in there in 2 minutes, less than 2 minutes, a brand new workout. There's a lot of terms that I may use differently from others. A box jump, I'll say 2 to 1, someone who just sees the word 2 to 1, you're like, what are you talking about? But for me, that, you start from 2 feet, you jump, you land on 1 foot. And so the videos that I can just literally take a video of myself, upload it, or find one that's already on YouTube, connect that's been huge. So team builders are a really big one. Just that the NHSSCA convention, the national conference this past summer, where we got to meet for the first time. I had the ability to win one of the raffle prizes, which is the velocity-based training. And that's with VMAX Pro. And so VMAX, I've gotten to dabble in it, but we don't have like a gym set up yet. But the fact that I've been blessed with now this new technology of not only that, but also the free lap with the cones and timing and stuff. So getting into a little bit more velocity training, incorporating that in the weight room, that's still very new for us. I know I'm behind. I'm apologizing for all my athletes out there for not being on it sooner. But nonetheless, it's in my lap right now, and I'm working with it to try to really hone in on like, okay, where do I want to implement this in my programming? How will this take it to not just the next level, but how will this make us more balanced, a little bit more educated, right? Because that feedback is now there. How do I want to use the analytics? So one thing we do use though is dasher laser timers. We do the laser timers a lot with speed. 10-yard dashes, 10-yard flies, or 30-yard flies, the 5, 10, 5, finding agility and things like that. So those are kind of fun software apps or tools that I use now in the weight room. But you kind of asked what's kind of in the day, what does that look like? So take, for example, my track and field team. They're off season right now. They'll go out with their track coaches, and there's just a small cohort of them, but they'll use the dasher timer system every few weeks to make sure that they're staying on course. In the weight room, I will have the just jump mat measuring their vertical actually every time they come in as kind of like a readiness tool to see like, oh, wow, you are 3 inches off of your max vertical. How are you feeling? It starts that conversation, right? It makes me question, like, are you really tired today? Is something going on? Or was that just a bad rep? Let's try that again. So, but I just, some of those tools are used just as tools, not as game changers. They're just used as check-in points, right? And I don't expect someone to PR every single time. If I did, I'd be expecting the world, right? And so I don't want to put that pressure on these students. That the kids don't need that added pressure to always constantly have to be bettering themselves. It's like, hey, it's an ebb and flow, up and down, up and down. Where are we at? Are we on the up or are we on the down right now? And then how do we adjust accordingly? So, yeah.
Oh, I don't think you're behind at all with the
I mean, let's go. That makes me feel good.
I'd say that's right where I am right now too, is, you're bringing all these new things on. And I like what you say about, first, it should just be instant data for the kids, right?
Yeah.
We're not necessarily keeping track. It should be how fast is their time, and they can figure it out. How high are they jumping? Then let them be the one to evaluate it. What is the bar path with the VMAX Pros? So I love how you're using it right now. I think in general, that's the way it should be used, instead of necessarily it taking tons of time from us where we're trying to figure out all the data. And like you said, where it always has to be a PR. So, and it's fun for the kids, right? To
Oh yeah.
explore and see how they're using it.
Well, and especially because I only have 2 of the VMAX Pros and 1 chip for the free lap, which measures the distance and stuff. When the kids get to be that guinea pig that uses it, that really makes them feel like, wow, coach trusts me to use this stuff. I better do it, with full intent, or, I don't take it for granted. And so that's also another plus, is that these kids feel a little bit more of the buy-in because they're the ones getting to test out the cool toys.
Yep. And it's fun to be able to say, yeah, play with it. I just actually had I teach a college class of high school kids. So high school kids in high school, and they did a health fair. And so one of the subjects was the velocity-based training. And I told the kid, I'm like, here's where I'm at with it. Do whatever you can. And this kid, the whole group, they completely figured it out. They had it all, put the app on their phones, and then they did it through the health fair. And they use that technology way more than I had been using it in the weight room. So it was a lot of fun kids could do great stuff when we just introduce it to them first. So we don't have to be perfect at it.
I agree. And then they can end up teaching us things about it.
TeamBuildr is the software for strength and conditioning coaches. Join the thousands of coaches that log into TeamBuildr every day to write training programs, build questionnaires, and access and track athlete data. TeamBuildr is compatible with mobile devices, laptops, tablets, TVs, and now wearable devices, which makes it the perfect software for any setting. If you sign up with the code BIGTIME, you will receive a 25% discount on the Sports Science Certification course. Build the foundational skills necessary to manage data and learn how to transform that data into actionable assets for your program. You will also receive a free 10-week football programming template, which works automatically within your TeamBuildr 14-day free trial. No more spreadsheets and workout cards to track training maxes that change day by day, especially during breaks. Head to teambuildr.com and sign up with the code BIGTIME to save time and paper today. Well, 11 years in, and you talked about ever changing, but what about your training philosophy do you think has held up over time? And then maybe what have you really changed on that you at the beginning either did not believe in or were not firm on? What's held up and what's changed over these last 11 years?
Yeah, so the thing that's held up, and a lot of I have this one quotation that I keep that at the heart of my training, kind of my life, I guess. And that quote is, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's held up for me the entire way. So my knowledge, is ever changing, and the confidence in that knowledge is ever changing. With the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. And then I'm back to square one thinking I don't know anything. And so, but in reality, I'm actually getting more knowledge under my belt. And so the thing that's kind of stayed true that I've been able to bring through the 11 years there at Bellarmine has been the fact that I've always put the care of that student, that athlete, the school community, what really matters first. And that's above the training. That's above the sets and reps. That's above the chasing a number, chasing a championship. I truly do believe that other people, if you were to ask them, or if you go to my rival school, Andrew, over at St. Francis, and ask him, what's something that Michelle kind of like, you can get that vibe from her. And it's the fact that I care. And I think I pride myself in that, with trying to connect with the athletes on that relationship level basis prior to trying to expect more from them in as far as numbers go. And that stayed true for me. And I think that'll always stay true for me. It's always about connection for me, because as soon as they know that you care and you genuinely care, oh, those kids will dig deeper and they'll run faster, jump higher, just because, they know that you're truly on their side. And when you're standing there in that final lap of a cross country run or a track meet or, whatever it may be, and they see you there, it's that they just seeing you there that gives them that extra push. Like, I got to do it. Like, I can do this. Coach has told me I can do this. I can do this. Right. Like, what are you made of? Like, I'm going to show her what I'm made of. I'm going to show me what I'm made of. Right. Like, I'm going to show myself what I can be, what can be possible. And so that's held true for the entire time. And then everything in between is what has been changing. So, in the beginning, who's influenced me, who program wise, who's kind of influenced me, in the very beginning, Mike Boyle, I think, having that influence and the balance of push and pull, upper body, lower body, core stability has really rung true in my training. And that's, one of the big influences I actually learned at Stanford. And that I think that's probably why I had the confidence I did early on. Even with that half a year to a year experience, I had that in my tool belt, that how do I program that balance, right? And then over time, Cal Dietz, with the triphasic training, and then 5-3-1 coming out, and now 1x20 coming out, right? Just the vector system coming out, right? Movement over maxes, all these amazing coaches that are out there that I'm just soaking in all this knowledge. And again, you don't have to just do one, right? And I think any coach will tell you, there's a mixture of all of them in my programming. And that's what's kind of changed, is I guess maybe the emphasis with a team, an athlete, a school year, where in that, do I focus a little bit more on triphasic training, or do I focus a little bit more on that 1x20? What do my athletes kind of need at this moment? Eccentric training. I learned a lot about eccentric training at the National High School NHSSCA, convention last in the summer. And I took that and I ran with that. I loved the fact that, the time under tension. And so right now, I guess my big thing is eccentric training, right? It helps with deceleration, control, learning how to properly do an exercise correctly, but have that balanced control, on both sides, or, challenging yourself with a single leg or single arm, having that core strength. But the fact is that that's what's been changing for me. And I feel like I have a grasp of a lot of different types of training. And now I have the idea of when do I want to stick it into my programming? Whereas my year 1, year 2, I didn't even know about half of these things at the time yet. So yeah, that's kind of what, and I will continue. And I love when coaches bring new things, because I want to continue learning and adapting to what else is out there, just adding more tools to the toolbox. Right.
Yep. I think it's Gary Schofield. I know I did a presentation with Play where he talks about, I will always use training principles.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't that, but I will never be tied to one program.
Right.
So being able to bring all those things of, like you said, 5-3-1, vector training, what we got to see Bobby Stroop this summer. And that's kind of my favorite thing right now to be working on, but he'll always have overload, the overload principle, the specificity.
Yeah.
There you go. Hardest worded.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I really like how you're using that. And that, like you said, can keep us where we don't get bored and we can continue to always test ourselves, because we now have the knowledge of the training principles that we can safely implement things that we're working on. So,
right.
Yeah. No, I love it. What we had talked about in all boys school, this sticks out to me because my job is I teach strength and conditioning, before and after school, but then during the school day, I have a strength and conditioning class, which is predominantly males. And then immediately after, I have a female strength and conditioning class. And I am spent after that 1 hour in my boys class. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then the girls class comes and I say the directions and they just listen. Nobody's hitting each other. Nobody's throwing anything. I'm like, so you've kind of came up in my mind, like, I mean, Do you get sick of it ever? Because I do. Does it get hard, or what are things that you've done to work with male athletes over the years that's helped?
I'm a unique human being that I have this immeasurable amount of energy from the morning to the night. I don't drink coffee. I don't drink caffeine. I think it's because of the fact that I get like 9 hours of sleep every night. That's probably where it comes from, because if I don't get enough sleep, you'll see it on me the next day. But I just have this energy. And I guess with that energy, when I smile, thanks to braces, right? When I smile, it makes other people smile, because it's I have this glow about me. And, sometimes I wish podcasts were videos, right? You can kind of see this 5'3" glowing smile. That's what I walk around campus showing, right? That's my best wardrobe right there, is my smile. And so with this immeasurable amount of energy, I use it in a way where I'm just helping. I'm helping. And one thing I've learned from one of the, he retired at this point, but he was our Christian service coordinator, kind of community service coordinator. His name is Steve Pinkston. And he taught me that in order to feel the most fulfilled, in order to feel like you have that purpose, that you have love in your life, is you have to give. You have to give. And I'm not talking about charity. I'm not really talking about donations and giving money, although if that's your thing, beautiful. This world does need that. But give your time is probably the most valuable thing you can give away. And I've learned that. And so when I show students, when I show athletes, in the weight room, new exercises, I really try to put that 100% into that one thing that they're trying to learn. And I'm like, man, I know it's frustrating, right? But we're going to get it, because if you don't get it now, everything that comes on top of that, or, next isn't going to be right. So we have to spend the time to get it right. And because I take that time and really, I get the opportunity during the school day, I do teach a few PE classes or weight training classes like you. And the classes can be draining. But one of the things that brings my energy back is those periods where I don't have a class. And then I get to do that one-on-one training, or the small group 2-on-1, 3-on-1 that come in during their free time. Yeah. And I get to work on those kids one-on-one. That's actually what rejuvenates me. That's what gives me that kind of that energy back, because I'm not expending it all over the place thinly. Instead, I'm honing it on one person very deeply. And I think that kind of giving, that deep giving into one person, that, and then you see them perform afterwards, or you see them continue to be great after that, and then get excited about what they can now do. Right. That's what gives me my energy back, is when those kids get it, when they finally get the RDL, when they finally get the form of a squat, when they, can finally touch their toes, when they're reaching for their toes. That's that magical moment that it comes full circle for me. That's what kind of like really is my gasoline, right? In a sense, where it's like, I can see my focus, my teachings, what I've put into myself, make these kids happy, improve, give them a better potential outlook on fitness, because fitness is for life, whether we continue to be athletes or not, or coaches. We can go off and be venture capitalists, and we still have to have fitness in our lives. And so the fact is that the gym's not scary for them. And they, I do kind of create this false narrative though, because then they think every gym they go in is going to be nice and bright and shiny and positive, because Coach Toy's there. Well, Coach Toy's not always with you. And so, but the idea is that the foundation's with them. And so, that energy, is what you were asking, how do you go from one class then to the next? That can be draining. And what I may, I guess, just advise on that one, what works for me is that I do pay attention to all 30 kids in my class at the time. It's 30-1, right? So it can be draining, because you're constantly bouncing everywhere. But pick a few, maybe like one exercise in that workout, or one student or a couple of students in that workout that you're jamming to. Like that's where you're going to be spending most of your time. It's not probably on my push-ups. It's not over on my pull-ups. I may be focusing on the squat or the deadlift or the max jump for the day, landing, how to do a box landing correctly. Lord knows these kids want to jump as high as they can on a box.
Yes.
And we all know that is not why they're made. But it's kind of picking that one thing in that workout that really I want to teach them more in depth. And that teaching more in depth allows me to focus just my energy on kind of that one thing. And that one thing is what then rebounds that energy back to me, as opposed to being spread thinly. If that makes sense.
Yes. I love that. And I haven't really heard that before, but yeah. And then being able to, when you start realizing, when you feel those moments, like, okay, I'm not necessarily overwhelmed, but I'm frustrated right now.
Right.
That's a great mindset to be able to instantly turn to the positive, or the one lift, and accepting that other things aren't perfect with it. Oh, yeah, that's good. What I'm taking away from this for sure. This episode is also brought to you by PowerLift. Taking your athletic facility from concept to completion can be a challenge. At PowerLift, it's their goal to make the process as seamless as possible from start to finish. Their weight room equipment is made of the toughest materials that can withstand excessive use from coaches and athletes alike. It's sought after for its unique design, customizable appearance, affordability, and their superior warranty that training facilities want and need. Their weight rooms are designed with the athlete in mind, and they pride themselves on the ability to outfit athletic facilities based on a team's unique goals. That's why high schools, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, and athletic performance facilities around the world have chosen PowerLift to help maximize their strength training facilities. Call them today to be contacted with a rep in your area, and give them a follow on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to see for yourself why their clients are PowerLift proud. Well, let's talk hurdles. So 11 years, I can sense in this situation, what has been a hurdle that you feel like you had it, you overcame it, you're better for it?
Right. Well, one, it's being a female. It's being, I guess, inexperienced, or so I'll give you the context of those comments. My first day at work at Bellarmine, my very first day, July, 12th, 2012. And I remember the day. To the day, I remember this conversation. And that's because it's how much it's affected me and my, I guess, who I am as how I deal with conflict. And I went in to my first day at work at Bellarmine, and the football team was in there working. And so they have a coach that has been their strength coach for a while. So I mentioned that I was the first strength conditioning coach. I'm the first hired full-time strength conditioning coach. They have a football coach that's also a certified strength coach that's been doing their training prior to them hiring me. And so he was in the weight room with the football team, and they were doing squats and front squats. And I noticed this one student. I was just kind of sitting in the office observing. I asked if I could observe. And I see this one student doing a front squat. He had 35 pounds on each side of the bar, but he was probably 5'6", 5'7", 130, like real small kid. But he had almost his body weight on the, basically his body weight on the bar, front squatting. They're doing, basically everybody had the same color, right? Everybody had the 35s, the blue weights on the bar. And he just about face planted forward on his way down. So he was squatting on his toes, and he face planted forward into the rack. And I jumped out of my chair and I ran out there and I helped him re-rack the bar. And I was like, look, man, we got to go down in weight. He goes, no, but everybody's using the blues. I was like, yeah, but you can't handle it. You literally you almost hurt yourself. You're lucky. He goes, no, but coach is going to be mad because, I have to do this weight. And I was like, look, kid, I'll back you up on this thing. We have to go down and weight. Go get the 10s, right? Like go get, let's just start with the bar for all I care, right? Like it was my first day. I don't know this kid. I don't even know his name. He doesn't know me. And so I'm over here helping him, and, we get him down a little bit lighter weight. And the coach in the room is just kind of looking at me, just watching me. And, kind of comes over later on. He says, these things kind of work itself out. I was like, okay. So I go back in my office, continue to observe the rest of the workout. They went out to the track and did a little bit of speed stuff. And at the end of that, he came back and I said, coach, thank you so much for letting me just kind of see how things go. I'm really happy to help the rest of the summer. I'm here. I don't really have any other teams to work with since, I don't know any of the coaches yet. Is it okay if I help out? And this is what he told me. He says, I don't know what the administration told you, but football is not in your contract. And I was like, whoa, okay. So no was his answer, basically, right? No, you can't help me. No, don't touch my athletes again, right? That's what I took away from it. And at the time, I thought it was just because I was brand new, right? At the time, I thought it was because, this is my team, right? Don't step on my toes, right? I'm not sharing, right? And so from then on out, I realized I didn't like the way I was treated. I didn't like the way I felt when I was around this person. I felt very smaller than 5'3". I'll tell you that. He made me feel smaller than I was already. And I hated that feeling. And I promised myself then that I would never make my athletes feel that way. I would never make my athletes, never make another coach, never make a colleague, never make a friend that I have, try to never make them feel the way that I just felt then. And I realized the way to make someone feel connected, to feel worthy, to feel welcomed, was to be this bright light, was to be sharing, caring, constantly trying to show that, yeah, you matter. I'm going to show up for your club soccer game on a Sunday across town because I want to show that you matter. And, at that point, I really, I felt that was powerful. That was a powerful challenge for me because, lo and behold, I've, over the last few years being the football coach and, for several more years after that, I've had to kind of battle with this, like, hey, these are my athletes, not yours, right? They're my football athletes. Are they working out with you too? Why? And it's, I've always felt that everybody can bring something great to the table if you just, hear them out or let them show, right. Collaborate a little bit. Yep. And so, being a very kind of an alpha dominated male coach, speaking to a very brand new female petite coach, that could have been devastating for my career. Yeah. But I think with the background I had from my family, what my family taught me, right. My dad, my mom, having a brother and a sister, growing up with them, being amazing family supporters. They're like, you belong there just as much as anybody else, Michelle. You're educated. You understand that those kids, deserve the time to learn things correctly. Don't give up, keep going. See if you can find other supporters at the school that will help you. Right. And so lo and behold, right. Exactly. Like, I found other supporters at the school that kind of thought that, what, Michelle, this is the reason why we hired you. We wanted someone completely different that brought that energy that, some of the coaches at this school don't have. And so, and I thought that was beautiful because that's also what I needed. I needed that support group from within the school community. And that's also why I'm still here, is because that community, they're my heart and soul. And I think I'm their heart and soul. And I think that's how we keep going together, is because we support one another and we challenge each other to, I'm constantly growing. And then I look over and I see my coworker, John Alpazar, is a strength coach of mine at Bellarmine as well, with me. And I constantly see him watching YouTube videos to get better. And he is completely opposite of the male coach that I was introduced to. You know, he's very supportive, very collaborative, you know, and still has that strong alpha dominance in his workouts, but doesn't have that, you know, what's mine is mine mentality. And so I'm really thankful for kind of the community that we have at Bellarmine that has allowed me to grow. And that didn't stop me stop me in my tracks and tell me to change professions. So.
And today, do you get to work with the football players?
I don't. Well, I do, and I can. I had offered when that coach they stepped down about 2 years ago, just during COVID, and I got offered. Do I want to work with them? And I realized that, you know, it's football is a big commitment, and there's a lot of the other sports that will lose their. Maybe not lose is the right word, but you know, my energy would go a lot more into one sport as opposed to being able to share that with a lot of other sports that don't have as much demand. And so I thought my personality being kind of more of the bubbly, I have a lot more, less of that control. I guess I like freedom, a little bit of freedom and autonomy and stuff. And I feel like football has a little bit more of that rigidity and needs kind of that control in that discipline, that very serious mindset, because a lot of times that's what the culture is there. And I thought that John, who's the, you know, my coworker, I thought he would do a phenomenal job in that position. And so I supported him wholeheartedly to get that. And so John works with the football team. However, whenever the freshman football players come up, when the JV comes up, the varsity comes up, do I have a great relationship with all of them? 100% yes. When those kids come out to track and field, do I get to work with them? 100%. And so, you know, we have this great working balance where, is that my sports team that I work with? No, I will give 100% of that credit to Coach Alvazar for what he's been able to develop with those guys over the last few years, having them. But, you know, I love my cross country runners. I love my soccer players. I love my tennis athletes. I love my swimmers. You know, I kind of like those sports that don't have that culture that's super serious. And there's a little bit more of that happy-go-lucky, or a little bit more of that freedom, because they're more individualized. There's a lot of more individualized in some of those sports. And so I get to build up the person from the inside. And so, so I actually chose to do the other sports instead of football, but I have a great relationship with them.
Sounds like, I mean, the perfect situation. Instead of being isolated, now you have a team.
Yeah.
Right? You have a team of coaches around you that you can, like you said, bounce ideas off, because we can't do it all together. And right. So amazing. This episode is also brought to you by Vitruve. Vitruve is a velocity-based training system designed for colleges and high schools around the world. It is accurate, reliable, and affordable. The software is quick and easy to set up and use with a whole room of athletes simultaneously. Coaches have chosen Vitruve because it simplifies VBT and allows them to seamlessly integrate it on a daily basis. Check out Vitruve now for your school's free demo unit. Professional development. You talked about ever evolving. What does it look like to you?
Not typical. Like, I love going to conferences, don't get me wrong, but I've actually, and I don't know how I got this, but I just have this itch to like go and shadow trainers, or strength coaches, as speed coaches, you know, however that may come. But I see these, you know, speakers at these conferences. I used to go to a ton of Perform Better conferences growing up. And these coaches are just these top-notch, you know, they're great speakers and stuff. But I was like, well, I want to see you at work. Right. So it all started, I went out to Boston. I don't even know how many years ago, maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And I paid my way. I gave up part of my Christmas break and I just went by myself. I just flew out to Boston and I asked Eric Cressy, he's pretty well known in the baseball field, can I shadow you? And then lo and behold, an hour away was Mike Boyle. I was like, can I come by for the day and shadow you? And then that turned into in my own backyard. There's Dwayne Carlisle. He used to be the one of the head strength coaches at the 49ers. He has his Carlisle Performance. He's in San Jose, and I shadow him multiple times at this point. I've shadowed Mark Uyama. He used to be a former 49er strength coach. Les Spellman down in San Diego, and Taylor Ramsey. He's at Sports Academy, formerly Mamba Sports Academy. I just go out and my professional development is not necessarily paying for conferences. It's actually paying for my own flight. It's paying for my room and board or transportation to go watch these coaches in their backyard, in their action, when they're home in action. And I want to see what they look like, how they interact with athletes and things like that. And so for professional development, I do like to read. Thank you, Brandon Marcello, for telling me to read. But with reading, I wanted more. I wanted to see these things come to life on, that was on the paper, come to life on the field. And so, so I've, all these people I've mentioned, it's just the start of the list of the people I still have that I want to go out and shadow and learn from for a week at a time or something, whatever they'll have me. You mentioned Bobby Stroop. He's out in Fort Worth, Texas. And I unfortunately missed him just by a few days there at the end of the summer. But, I reached out to go see him after we got to hear him at the NHSSCA National Convention. So, my professional development may not always give me CEUs, but it gives me the, that education that hopefully will take me to that next level of coaching, to be recognized, to be able to be seen as a valuable coach. Maybe I'm at the high school level, but could collegiate athletes still see me as a valuable coach? Yeah, because I've now worked with NFL players. I've now worked with, potential future Olympians, right? So it's kind of cool having the different background just because I searched for it on my own. It's, sky's the limit, right?
Yeah. Well, great way to tailor it to you.
Yeah.
You form relationships, right? Instead of them talking at you, you're not working with them. And inevitably, the cost is probably about the same, right?
Probably. Yeah. Probably. Because I still have to pay to go to a conference in Long Beach or whatever it is. I still have to pay for the room and board. I still have to pay for the drive or the flight down there. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I want to hear, to finish this off, just a little bit more about you. You said, I think you might already answered, but maybe we'll extend on it. Best piece of advice you've been given. I like to read one. Is there anything else along the way?
Those are, okay, here we go. If we fall out of routine as strength coaches with our own health, then that can have an impact on kind of our athletes see everything that we do. Mm-hmm. And so they see us work out, or they see the shape that we're in. They see when we're drowsy. They see when we're happy, when we're excited, when we show up. They see it all, right? And I think that's why I do put a lot of emphasis on the relationship building aspect of it. But if they also see that you're eating, junk food or, starting to get the, gray bags or whatever under our eyes because we've been lack of sleeping or we're sick every other week, right? Like, I've felt under the weather recently, and that's like, man, I don't think I've taken a sick day but once in 10 years of being at Bellarmine, right? Like, or maybe twice, right? But it's like, it's incredible the health that if we put the focus on our own health, it allows us to kind of then be able to give our energy to other people, because if we don't have energy, then we can't give it away. It's funny. I just popped it up, right? Like if your plane is going down, knock on wood, no one's plane ever goes down. But when those oxygen masks come down, we've heard it before, put your mask on first before you put someone else's on, because if you all of a sudden faint, then your kid or whoever's next to you that may need your assistance, well, you're incapable of doing that. And so for us, I feel like we put so much into our jobs as strength coaches. We're there all the time because we love it. We want to be, but it can make for long hours. And so being able to put ourselves and our health also right up there as a top priority, needs to be done in order to have that longevity in this profession.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my advice.
Yes. And sometimes it takes learning it the hard way. I'm seeing that with so many people's stories is they're learning it the hard way because we do overextend ourselves so much, and it takes making the decision not to. So I know a big piece for me is hobbies. I love just probably different than any strength coach. I love quilting. I love canning vegetables. And so having hobbies, what are some of your hobbies outside of strength and conditioning that have nothing to do, but I had a salsa contest with my salsas the other day for my kids and showing them that I'm more than a strength coach. What kind of hobbies do you have that you can bring in to show your kids that you do?
I love that you've asked me this. I am a unique human being because I love music. I think everybody loves music. That's not unique, right? I think that's very common. But I love music so much that I learned how to DJ. I learned how to DJ to be able to mix music or mix songs for the weight room, to be able to have uninterrupted, like, awesome, like, music that, one, I have no cursing in my music. I believe that we have to have music that is inviting for everybody. And sometimes, or all the time, it can make, kids uncomfortable if they hear words and things that are inappropriate. It kind of, makes them feel uncomfortable. And I don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable in my weight room. Mm-hmm. And so I have this music that's clean, it's upbeat. It can be anywhere from rap to country, well, not much country, but because usually country is slower, but I like to have those faster paced songs, and I can blend them real easily. And so where kids almost think they're at like this Orange Theory Fitness, where it's like, where's the DJ? Like, this is great. But because of that, then the kids started asking me, hey, coach, can you be our DJ at our dances? And so in 2014 or 2015, I DJ'd my first dance, and I told them, I was like, hey, give me the dance that has the lowest attendance. Give me the ones that's like maybe the smallest date dance or something that you have. And so lo and behold, they gave me the February date dance. Should have had 150, students, right? Turns out they heard I was DJing it, and it became this full-blown 800 kid. Wow. Had to move it to the gym. And since then, all my dances that I DJ are like the talk of the town. They're like 1,200 kids come. They sell out the gym. It's a giant mosh pits happen, like as if you're in the middle of the field and Michigan beats Michigan, or whatever it may be. It's a blast. So that's a random hobby that I have, is DJing high school dances.
I love it. And one of a future show here, one of the biggest questions that we get, of like, we ask high school coaches things is, what kind of music do you do? How do you do it? And I just actually answered one of our listeners and said, yep, we're having a future show about this. So I know who we're calling.
Yeah, I can make a mix. I'll make a mix for y'all. You let me know. You guys want to, hit me up. I'll send one to you. There's a couple of the females actually that are in our group chat since the convention, which is, the NHSSCA that I keep referring to. Yeah, we have this Instagram chat that we kind of go back and forth on and support each other with and ask questions to. And, I love you ladies. Shout out to y'all. But one of them Lily asked me for, hey, I mentioned, you said you had these mixes. And so I sent it to them, and, I'm happy to send the ones I've already recorded. I don't care. Just shoot me an email. I'll send it to you. Cool. But mind you, they're all clean. So they're safe for our high school gyms. Right. And so, they're anywhere from hip hop focused on Drake and Meek Mills and the Baby and, whatever it may be. All these kids will be like, what? Coach, where did you get this mix from? Right. And I was like, well, I made it. And they're like, okay, I need to get this. Can I have this mix? Is it on SoundCloud? I was like, no, but if you email me, I'll send it to you. So, but yeah, no, but I love, one thing, I'm actually learning how to speak Spanish. And so I love Latin music, Bad Bunny, Pitbull, Daddy Yankee. Like, I love the Latin. It's the vibe. It's if you haven't played Latin music in your weight room, try it out. It's a vibe.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, you're gonna have to turn this into a part 2.
Happy to do it. I'm a talker, so happy to do it.
Excellent. Well, I do want to finish out. I don't know if it's our secret, but I feel like I want to talk about our group on Instagram.
Yeah.
Because this is new. A big part in the female strength and conditioning world has been isolation for a lot of years. And I want to give a huge shout out this year. The NHSSCA started with a female breakfast, was how they kicked off. And the camaraderie that was formed in a short amount of time, I mean, was amazing. And, I made the comment to a lot of coaches about it. Thank you for doing this, because in the past, a female coach at a conference, the first thing was you were with your male coaches. Right. And then maybe there was another female across the room, but it took walking through the crowd, getting the courage, and then getting through all the male coaches that she was talking to probably even start a conversation. And we started this year with a group of females in conversation. And then Caroline Palmer, is that who created the
my girl, Caroline? Yeah.
Yes. And
Caroline or a couple of the other ladies that were in that group. Yeah. That morning that started it.
Yeah. And then just through the conference, we were able to start talking, right? We were just, little things. And then it's lasted, and, somebody will throw out, hey, check in. How's everybody doing? And it's just been the camaraderie piece. I think we're just at the beginning, but I want a huge thank you for that, for you, just a piece that you play in it and just supporting other coaches. But what's been your experience with it?
Oh, great. I mean, I think Kyle is the one. I think we were talking about that with her. So after that breakfast that you were mentioning, it didn't just end with breakfast, like you mentioned, right? We, at previous strength conferences I've been to, whether it's the NSCA, Perform Better, whatever it may be, my own backyard, Hammer Strength, putting on something. You're right. It's me with the guys. I'm part of the guys, right? Why, does being a female really matter? Why do we have to connect? I've kind of had this in the back of my mind. I'm like, I'm just being me. Right. But after that breakfast, I realized the importance of coming together and being with female coaches, because we make up probably 10%, if not less, of the actual total strength conditioning in this career path, right? In this profession. And so being so little, it's kind of like, all right, how do we support each other to make us feel confident that we can continue to stand in this male dominated industry? And just like me, right? My very first day on the job, I got smacked right back down. And had I not gotten back up, had a lot of females in this industry, right? A lot of you all out there that are strength coaches. Had you let yourself stay down, we wouldn't have any of us in this industry. Mm-hmm. And so I think just being able to have ways that allow us to be supportive to one another, feed off one another, that group chat, that group of women that we are a part of, we continue to eat lunch each day together. When Caroline, actually, she won the scholarship, that raffle, the scholarship for her graduate program, I think all of us ladies, we outpowered the males when we were cheering for her. I mean, when I won my raffle thing, I was definitely like the loudest screamer. I was so excited, but I was the loudest. I wanted to be known that, like, we're here, let's go. But having that group of girls, just a group of women that, being able to see, I think Lily they just finished a giant, I've never seen this before, but they had a strength competition for young females. And there were hundreds of females in that gym, in that room, squatting or doing whatever their testing was. And I'm just seeing her post it, and I'm just like, that is incredible. So to see that, another female is getting a lot of females and also males, there are male coaches helping out, but there were only female athletes doing that whatever the competition was, just to see that those girls now see that, hey, I can be, in this industry as well. Strength is cool. Strength can be sexy. Strength doesn't mean I look bulky, strength doesn't mean those stereotypical things that I think, has been in our past. And we're allowing to open the doors and give these young women be the role models for these young women coming up in sport, trained by female coach and mentored by female coach, and, athlete might then become female coach. and not scared of it, right? And knows how to interact with both male and female, athletes or colleagues and stuff. And so, yeah, having that chat is just the beginning. I can't wait to get back with these women, in Chicago for the next June 22nd, I believe it is, next year, for the next convention, and get back and, one, hopefully see us grow even more. Two, hopefully see more of us become speakers. Three, just we have that bond. So when we get that social the night before the conference starts, it's not like you're kind of like, it's me with my group of guys, you with your group of guys. It's we immediately gravitate towards each other, going for the hug. We have our table. We can't stop talking. And then the boys are going to be like, wow, I want what they have. That's what I'm picturing is going to happen. And I can't wait.
Yes, I'm excited. So this is an invitation to any female strength coaches out there. Hit us up on Instagram and we'll get you part of this as well. Because join us. We'd
love to have you.
Love to have you. Well, this has been amazing. I'm so grateful you took this invitation. Is there anything else on your end that you feel like I got to get it out there? I got to say it.
Just shout out to all the female coaches out there, and shout out to all the male coaches and female coaches that have helped me become who I am today. Without you all at every step of the way. My family, they're my biggest supporters every day. I have a twin sister, so she's my rock. She is my rock. And so if I get on my very first podcast I've ever been on, I don't give her a shout out, it'd be a shame. So, shout out to my family, my brother and sister, my mom and dad. It's not, you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. And so it's a community we build. Don't ever feel like you have to be doing this alone. You don't. And frankly, I don't think you should. It's a lot more fun when you get to the top with a party of people. So
it really is. It really is. Well, I have a feeling we're going to get a few that are going to reach out to you. What's your best way that you like to connect and communicate with other coaches?
Yeah. I find it really personal when someone emails me. Social media, I feel like everybody can just like something or add you and follow you, but really not connect with you. And so if you really want to connect, I'd say shoot me an email. Or if you want one of those mixes I was talking about, send me a hip hop mix, Michelle. My email is M like Michelle. So MTOY, that's my last name. So mtoy at bcp.org, which stands for Bellarmine College Prep. So mtoy at bcp.org. You can hopefully write it out for them. But if you do want to find me on Instagram, it's the handle is Michelle G. G is in Georgia, just my middle initial, Toy. So Michelle G Toy is my handle. So feel free. It's a private account. And reach out, feel free to add me. I'll add you back. I like to communicate, but if you do add me, please send me a message so I know who you are, so we can actually connect, because don't be a shadow, stand out. So.
Excellent. Well, this has been great. And we will put your connection stuff on our show notes. So feel free to look at that. And this has been amazing. I'm so grateful for you. I want to have you back. I want to talk music. I want to talk California training. I'm to hear. So I just want you to know that it's 13 degrees today and snowing.
Bless you. We're in California. I don't know. We're probably in the 50s or something right now, but because it's still morning, but we're going to be closer to 70 by the end of the afternoon. So we'll hopefully send some warm weather your way, or maybe you don't want it because you guys actually go through seasons. We don't. So
I don't want it yet. It'll come. So this has been great. I will see you soon. And thank you for being on.
All right. Thank you for having me. I really do appreciate this, Amanda. Thank you so much.